Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I have an in-depth video for you about eyeliner. I know, so exciting. No, in actuality, this was requested by someone who follows me and someone who is getting into makeup, so I'm very happy to do this video for you guys, and I hope that it will be informative and interesting and will maybe help you figure out what type of eyeliner you want to use if you're just starting out and getting used to eyeliner. So I have a bunch of different types of eyeliner in front of me. There is one that I don't have pretty much anymore at all, but I'm still going to talk about because I did have at one point. So I'm just going to go ahead and jump right into things. So as you can see, I do have a winged liner on right now that is pretty typical for me, and I'm going to show you guys exactly how to do that and what product I typically use for it at the end of this video. But first, I'm going to talk about pencil liners. I have three different types here. They look like this. One of them is a sharpen, and two of them are a twist up, but they're a different type of twist up. So I'm going to talk about the pros and cons of each of these specific products and just this type of liner in general. And I'm going to do the same thing with the other types of eyeliners. So the first one I have here is from Smashbox. This is the Always On Gel Liner. It looks like this. This is a pencil. So the pro about pencil, I find that pencil tends to be very pigmented, especially when you use it on the upper lash line or lower lash line. And it does, depending on which eyeliner you get, sometimes it'll run, sometimes it won't. The main downside for me is just that you have to sharpen it, and so sometimes you can get it too sharp, or sometimes it doesn't necessarily sharpen correctly, and it's a little awkward, and once you get to a point, they get like so small that they're like really hard to hold, and you just get all up close to your eye. I am not a huge fan of these, but they are good for tight lining the eyes, especially. For upper lash line, they tend to tug on your eyelid a little bit, especially some of the thicker, less creamier formulas. So not my favorite for upper lash line work, but tight line, definitely. They do come in regular eyeliner or kohl kajal, which tends to be a little smoother and more pigmented, I find. I do have one of those, but it's not in a pencil form. So, but I wanted to show you guys this one. So, not my favorite, but definitely still useful. And then the other two here are twist up. One of them is a green one from ColourPop, and it twists up at the top right there. So I'm twisting the bottom. And then the other one that I have, you actually do twist the bottom. So the other one, the part that's actually really moving is this part right here. So you can twist at the top. I tend to like twist the entire bottom, but it's actually the upper part that moves. This one, the lower part is what moves. And this is a bronze one. This is from Lock-It Waterproof Pencil Eyeliner. It's from Lock Color, and it's in Pearl Brown. So like I said, same with the regular pencil eyeliners. These tend to be a little less pigmented unless you get a kohl kajal one. But these tend to be a lot smoother, I find, than the pencil liners. But they also run a little bit, especially if you put them on the lower lash line. I find they run a lot and they're not overly pigmented. Again, a lot of this depends on what brand you get, but the ones that I've had haven't been super impressive. So again, not my favorite product to use. Because they're not as pigmented, I wouldn't necessarily recommend them for the upper lash line. But they are more convenient because you don't have to sharpen it, and there's a specified amount of product in each container that you can see. So obviously this one, you can tell I haven't used it very much. It's still going, but I just find it a lot easier to use than a pencil eyeliner, like a sharpened pencil liner, because I don't have to worry about ever sharpening it. It doesn't get super messy. Like I said, this one is a cream gel liner. This one twists up a lot easier, so depending on where you buy from, you can have an easier, quicker twist up like this one, or you can have a bit of a more difficult, time-consuming one like the one I was just showing you a second ago. So, like I said, this one's from ColourPop, and it is the color Fast Lane. It is a dark green. So overall, pencils really, really good for beginners, or if you're just looking to add a little bit more depth into a look. Specifically for the lower lash line, I find is really, really good. Just adds a little bit of smokiness, a little bit of darkness. If you put it there, it does tend to close up your eyelids a little bit, but that's just where I find that pencil eyeliners work best for me. But they are really good for beginners, and definitely don't count them out, and I would recommend trying a few of them, especially the Kohl Kajal liners. Those are really, really good, really smooth. Next, I'm going to talk about liquid liners, and I am partial to liquid liners. That has always been my favorite. I've tried pencil, I've tried liquid, and I've tried gel. And liquid liners have always been my favorite. And again, I have 3 different ones for you here. So I have this Wet n Wild liquid eyeliner. All 3 of these I think you have seen on my channel before. So this one comes off like this, and it is a very watery, wet formula. It is a felt tip, and you just draw it on like this, and the product is stored in here. And these 2 are pen liners, like pen-shaped liners. The KVD, this actually was one of the last Kat Von D, actually, liners before they switched over to KVD. But this is the tattoo liner, and it is a hair or brush tip liner, whereas this one here from Duce is a felt tip liner. You guys can't really see the difference on camera, but there is a difference in the type of brush. So the Wet n Wild, I find with this type specifically, it loads up on product on the brush, so I find they're a little bit harder to be precise with. It's not that you can't be precise with it, it's just a little harder, it's a little messy, and this formula specifically is a little more on the wet side instead of like thick and sticks to your eyes. I feel like this will smear a little bit on me if I'm not careful. So it's not my favorite, but it's definitely really good, and the liquids especially do tend to be much more pigmented, so they're a lot better for your upper eyes as opposed to lower eyes. I would not recommend using liquid liners on your lower lash line. It's just, don't even do that to yourself. Unless you're going for a very specific look where you want a thick, dark lower lash line. Not for everyday use. And then the other 2, like I said, this is a felt tip liner versus a brush tip liner. I'm personal to a brush tip liner. I just feel like I get a little bit more precise, and it doesn't dry out as quick. Once the felt tip dries out, the tip hardens, and it's so hard to get anything else out of it. Whereas the brush tip liner, if you just kind of like swipe it on the back of your hand a little bit, you can still get product flowing through it. So the felt tip just tends to dry out a little faster than me, and I find I can be just a tad more precise with the brush tip than I can a felt tip. But it also just depends on the actual thickness of the felt tip and where you buy them from. So like I said, I'm partial to a brush tip pen liner. That has always been my favorite, which is why I kind of swear by the Kat Von D liner or the KVD Vegan Beauty liner. But felt tip liners work just fine for anyone who's comfortable with these. And I find the pens are really nice because you can just kind of like sit your hand on your face a little bit. You can do a Nikki Tutorials trick and put a little sponge on your hand and sit it right there so it doesn't smear your makeup, and just do and done. I just find it's very quick and efficient and precise. And the last type I have to talk about, like I said, I don't have, is gel liner. So for anyone who hasn't used a gel liner before, it comes in a little pot. They do have a bunch of different colors. All of these types of liners comes in so many different colors, by the way. You can get black, brown, which are the basics, and you can totally go colorful. If I'm gonna go color, I personally like a dark blue. That's my favorite, but you can totally get any different type of color you want, especially with specific brands. I know places like ColourPop, they have green and blue and purple and a bunch of different things like that. So gel liners, here's my thing. You can be precise with it if you're careful. They are very, very thick in formula, so they're not my favorite. I like something that's not too thin, not too thick. It's like the Goldilocks story. Not too hot, not too cold, just perfect. Not too hard, not too soft, too like I'm the perfect in between, which is what I like so much about liquid liners typically. Gel liners are very, very thick, and you have to use an angled eyeliner brush to apply them. I find you can be the most precise, kind of like how you do eyeshadow as eyeliner, where you put some tape on the eye and you create the shape that you want that way. And this is of course all assuming you're doing a winged eyeliner. If you're not doing a winged eyeliner, gel liner may be perfect for you. I'm just my wing-wise, it's a little more difficult and you have to have the tape there. And the other problem that I have with gel liner is because it's so thick, you can have a really, really precise angled eyeliner brush, and I find the second that you dip it into gel liner, the brush loses its shape and its thin and preciseness. So then you have to like take your hand and like squeeze up the brush to get it more precise again, and then you drag it across your eye and again it loses its shape. So I just find them a little more difficult to use, a little bit harder to get precise. But I've only really used one type of gel liner, so it may have just been a bad experience for me. And some people swear by them, and so if you've tried them and you swear by them, that's amazing. I just personally find them a little harder to use and a little too thick for my liking. And again, you have to have a very thin, precise angled eyeliner brush or a very, very thin liner brush that are like just a simple tip. But yeah, so that is my opinions on the different eyeliners. So like I said, I am partial to brush tip pen liquid liners, but I totally recommend experimenting with all different types. And they all have different uses for different types of day. Like I said, pencils are really, really good for just adding a little accent color on the lash line, whereas the liquid liners are better for actually lining your upper lash line and adding another element to your look. So now I'm going to jump into showing you guys how I get my winged liner. You guys have seen me do it before on my channel, but I've never really gone in depth specifically about how I do it, and I wanted to go ahead and show you guys using my favorite liner, which is the KVD Vegan Beauty Liner. So let's go ahead and jump into that. Guys, so I am going to show you how I do my winged liner. Obviously before this I've talked about my preferences in liner, like pencil liner versus felt tip liner versus brush tip liner versus gel liner, all of that stuff. So we've gone a bit more in depth about specific eyeliners, and as you guys know, I really prefer my liquid pen liners. I prefer brush tip, but felt tip will work, either one's fine. I'm going to be showing you how to do liner today with my KVD tattoo liner, but I also have the Lunar Skies felt tip liner, and I think there's like one more in here that I use semi-frequently. But this is what I'm going to be using to show you. This has more or less been my holy grail, and you guys have kind of seen me do eyeliner before, but this one's going to be a little bit more in depth. So I am using my computer to film this just because I'm getting ready right now and I have my computer up because I was just watching some stuff on YouTube, as I always do. I have my mirror right here. I'm going to try my very, very best to stay in frame for you guys. But yeah, so we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm just going to do one, and then I will do the other one off camera and show you how it looks. So the first thing that I do is I just take my liner, and this is a brush tip liner, by the way. That's what it looks like. It's a bit of a messy tip right now, but it works. And I'm just going to take it and just do a simple line all the way across my eye. Just the most basic liner that you can do. And I do my best to keep it as close to the lash line as possible, and then if it gets thicker as I'm doing the wing, then it's okay, as long as it's not starting out super thick and then getting even thicker and thicker, and by that point it just covers up the whole lid. I'm trying to keep it as thin as possible. And I do go all the way to the inner corner. That part's a little tricky. It takes some practice not blinking, but you can already start to see a difference. Obviously this eye is a little bit darker than this eye is, but again, it is a very, very thin line to the point where you almost can't tell a difference. Okay, so what I like to do next, and this is a personal preference thing, but this is, again, just how I do my eyeliner, is I pick a spot and I draw a line from that spot and connect it back to the line that we first drew. So do you see that? There's like a spot right there, and I just came straight in just like that. And then what I do is I go ever so slightly above that spot and I connect it to my outer corner. And then I meet the two lines and fill it in. I actually want to get that bottom line here a little bit thicker and straighter. So I'm going to bring it down a little bit more. And there you go. That is what it looks like. So again, I just draw two lines and could just connect the two of them and just edit and clean up as I go. So I'm going to go ahead and do the other eye off camera. This is the final look that I did, and again, this is the eyeliner that I just showed you guys how to do. So thank you so much for watching. I hope this helped if any of you were struggling to figure out what eyeliner is best. And again, not every eyeliner is the same. Some people definitely have a preference towards gel or pencil or anything like that. So still experiment, but these are just my opinions on which eyeliner is better. But I definitely encourage all of you to experiment and really figure out for yourself. But I still hope this helps you, and thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all very soon. I hope you all are doing well, and I miss you guys and hope you all are hanging in there. Bye everybody.